How's it going, Tim?
Hey,
John, nice to meet you. Welcome to Roger Dunn.
Nice to meet you, John.
So it looks like today we're doing a fitting for the new T-Series irons.
Yep,
Awesome.
absolutely.
Have you seen them yet?
Only online, just some pictures, but not in real life.
Very cool. Well, let's take a look at what you're gaming right now, just to see where we're starting now. Did you get fit into these?
I did. It was a really quick fitting.
Really quick fitting? Okay.
Really quick fitting.
Must have not been here.
Not here.
I gotcha. And did they change any of the specs? Are we playing with standard lie angle, standard length?
It's 1 degree upright, standard length, but upgraded shaft.
Okay. Gotcha, and then a larger grip here. So that's the only thing I can't do for you today is put a larger grip on these demos.
I am playing a mid-size grip.
Gotcha. Awesome, and how do we like this club?
I like it. I still just don't really understand what it all does for me, so.
Is there any outstanding issues with it right now? Whether it's flight, left, right, up, down?
I do believe I have a more of a towering ball flight.
Okay, so it gets up there?
It does get up there a little bit. I mean, I'm just maybe a little bit more than a weekend golfer, so I still have my swing flaws, but consistency is a big thing for me. You know,
awesome.
Just getting the right, get it on the swing plane on the right path.
Okay. And how long have you had these for?
A little under 3 years.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna have you hit some just to gather some data. Just get a couple swings in. We'll take a look at it together. Just wanna see why the club is doing what it's doing, and we can see if there's any outstanding issues. So give me like 3 to 5, and then we'll take a look at the data. Just wanna see how your swing looks, but so far, looks great. Now, typical ball flight for you, are we looking more for a draw, straight flight, or more of a fade on a good strike?
On a good straight, I'm looking for it to go straight.
Go straight? Okay.
Yeah.
What is the tendency for it to do when you miss? Is it falling to the left, falling to the right?
Well, I do come over top a little bit, so it does have the tendency to go right.
Okay.
On bad pulls, it snap hooks.
Okay, so the one that is more common usually is to the right?
Yeah, more common.
Okay, gotcha. We see a couple more swings and then we'll look at why it may be doing that. But got a great swing. What's a typical 7-iron distance look like?
On good days, maybe a $160, $165.
Yeah, that's exactly what, that was 161, that was awesome. A little heavy?
A little heavy.
Okay. I want to look at this, and we're going to be looking at averages today. So obviously, the less we hit, the smaller the picture of what the average is going to be. But right now, it looks like average distance, and we're still warming up as we go. But looking at about 143 carry with, I can see your potential here on a good strike going 161, just like you said. Ball speed hovering around 107 on average, launching between 24 and 25. So you can see what you're saying. It does get up there when you launch it that high.
Yep.
Does that become a problem in the wind? Is it ever?
Absolutely.
Yeah, losing some yardage, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Especially around here, we definitely get some more wind than usual. But spin looks great, spinning about 6,500. It's the side spin I think we really need to focus on. I can see your typical miss just going more and more right, so I really want to focus on that. See if we can tighten this up and get it in the single, hundreds rather than thousands. Right now we're about 1,500, so I want to get that down a bit. And then descent angle looks great. So that's one of my more important categories for today, is making sure that your ball is descending into the green at the proper angle.
Oh, wow, okay.
That category just shows me right now if your ball has stopping power, which I would guess when your ball hits the green, it probably stays where it lands for the most part. It doesn't have much rollout. Does that sound about right?
Yep.
Yeah, because you're getting a lot of height, you get great spin, so it's stopping on a dime. So I don't want to lose any of that. I want to see if we can maybe get this trajectory a little bit lower, get it a bit more flighted if we can, while maintaining your spin, keeping your descent angle in a good spot. Because right now you're around tour average. Tour average is about 50 degrees, so you're putting up there with the best in the world. So I love that part. And then offline, obviously missing to the right. And in this category, I have a bit more leniency with. You're aiming into a screen. I don't expect you to hit your mark every single time, because it's easier when you're aiming at something in the distance rather than a blank screen. So as long as we're hitting the flight that we want with the side spin, that's my main concern. But peak height looks great. And then I think if we can get your launch angle down a little bit, we can probably get a little more distance out of it too, a bit more consistent distance too.
Okay.
That's something I'm noticing a lot is inconsistency in ball speed, right? We're seeing, 99, 107, 105, 110. I want to tighten that up as much as I can, because I think as a fitter, My job more so is to tighten up north-south dispersion, getting your miss hits or good hits a lot closer together. You know, 5-10 yards I can live with. When it's 15-20 yards, it's a different game out there.
Absolutely.
East-west dispersion, I think 20% of that's on me. I can get your ball to straighten out a bit. Obviously, I can't swing the club for you. If I did, probably wouldn't look that good. Looks great. It's a great starting point here, Tim.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
This is a lot of data.
It is. Probably went a little fast there.
Don't want to make it as blunt as is, but what does this all mean, right? What should I get out of this fitting? Is it the ball speed? Is it just accuracy?
It's a little bit of everything, right? I'm trying to tighten up where a lot of this dispersion's coming from. So in terms of ball speed, I want to get the numbers a lot closer together, right? Yeah. Like I said, getting your miss hits to carry about as close to your good hits. So when it comes to that, that's just going to create consistency and distance, right? Instead of missing 15-20 yards short, I'd rather you miss 5-10 yards short. We're always going to miss, but if I can tighten that up, it's just going to make you a better golfer.
Okay.
And then in terms of launch consistency, when you look at professionals, they're hitting the same exact window every single time. They're all traveling at different speeds and with different spins, so they carry different yardages, but they're hitting the same exact window. So getting you to hit the same exact window every time is, again, just going to create consistency and distance. Start line, that is going to come with time and practice, but consistency and distance is more so on my end of the job. I got to make sure that you're hitting your same window every single time, just creating consistency in your game.
Okay.
And then obviously side spin, that's just the spin which makes your ball go left or right. So I want to get that tightened up so you can create a consistent ball flight that you can trust every time.
Okay.
Knowing if I started on this line and it tends to fall right, I know I'm still going to be in a good spot.
Right on.
So it's just about making this game a little bit easier. Honestly, it's a tough game, and I think anything that we can do to create some consistency is just going to help you out a lot.
Okay, that's great. That's great.
And what you just did, any questions you have, it's perfect. Just fire them at me. I want to make sure that you're as comfortable as you can be. I know with fitting, if you haven't done a number of fittings, a lot of this stuff looks very unfamiliar. So
yeah,
I want to try to explain as much as I can. I want you to learn as much as you can today so that you know what to look for in the future, so that you don't have to come back in every time you see something wrong. You might be able to figure it out on your own when you get out on the course. So
that's
or
awesome.
You can always reach out to me. So starting on the left here, we have T100, T150, T200, and T350. Now, from this year to last, they've changed a lot, not only in performance, but in looks, right? These almost look like completely different clubs, more so the 200 and the 350.
Yep.
Starting at 100 and 150 obviously look very similar, the 150 being 2 degrees stronger in loft. So what we did, so the ball isn't just coming out lower with lower launch conditions, is we lower the CG in that club, or the center of gravity, to help get the ball in the air. Anything with a lower center of gravity is going to help get that ball in the air easier, so that the ball isn't just coming out lower, it's coming out with faster ball speed because it's 2 degrees stronger in loft, but it's still hitting the proper launch conditions to make sure that ball has stopping power.
Oh, wow.
Obviously look very similar, and one thing that we worked on with our Vokey team is, if you look here on the T150, we reduced the trailing edge. Obviously with our Vokey team, the wedges being a big part of what we do, they trailed down the trailing edge here and shaved it down to get better turf interaction, so it's very smooth throughout the turf.
Oh, okay.
And we did that throughout the entire line. So down from the 200 to the 350, we did the same exact thing. So just smoother turf interaction, glides through the grass a lot easier, and just ultimately a cleaner ball strike. Similar concept as we go down the line here. From 200 to 350, we're going to be going slightly stronger in loft, whereas the 200 and 150 are very, very similar in loft. 300 or the 350 is getting a bit stronger too, so we're going to lower the CG, help get that ball in the air so you're still hitting the proper launch conditions.
Right on.
These two naturally should fly a bit higher without having to work for it as much.
Okay.
Any question?
Yeah, actually, so the 4 models here, which type of player would be best suited for each model?
In my experience, honestly, any ball striker, any type of player can play any of these irons.
Okay.
I don't think we cater to specific types of ball strikers. I've had people come in that are 20, 25 handicaps, and they just naturally hit the 150 better. It really depends on the person that's in front of me. That's why we had to go through this process of trial and error to see what you hit best. Typically, you're gonna find that your better ball strikers, your stronger players, are gonna gravitate more towards something that's a smaller chassis size, smaller head shape, so they can work the ball a bit easier.
Yep.
And maybe get some more stopping power on the greens. Whereas these ones are built to launch higher naturally, and they are built to be a bit more forgiving. So again, typically you're maybe more novice or average players are gonna find themselves into one of these because they are easier to hit. But I don't think it's just you're a scratch golfer, you have to play this one, or you're a 25 handicap and you have to play these. It really, that's where the fitting process is so important, is that you have to come in and try them out and see for yourself, because there's not one iron for just one type of person. Yeah. Anybody can hit these irons.
Yeah, that's at least the misconception in my mind, that, oh, I'm not good enough to play a blade. I'm not good enough, but game improvement clubs are always a little bit chunky. So I feel like, for me at least, I'm almost pigeonholed and scared to even try to move up to more of a blade looking iron like what we got in the 100s and the 150.
Yeah, and a lot of it has to do with what suits your eye, right? You gotta like what you're looking at. You gotta be confident standing over the club every time, because you're gonna be hitting that ball with that club every single time. So if you don't like what you're looking at, it's gonna be tough for you to get past that. So obviously look has something to do with it, but feel is my number one. I think feel is the most important. So that's why we have to go through this process of fitting to make sure that you're finding yourself in the right model.
Right on.
So we're gonna get right into it. We're gonna hop into and start with the 150. Okay. I'm gonna put you in a club or a shaft that's very similar to what you're playing right now in terms of weight and flex, just to have a starting point. I want to have something comfortable for you, because right now I just want you to feel the head and get an idea of which one you like more. Assuming the one that you like the most performs the best, then we'll really start to dial that one in and get the shaft right, the length, lie angle. And right now I'm gonna keep everything pretty stock, just to get a feel for what head you like the most, okay? So we're gonna start with the 150.
Great.
With a stiff shaft, roughly around the weight point that you're in right now, just to keep it comfortable.
You're gonna have to really explain to me the club head shaft, iron shaft combo here, and how they interact with each other.
I definitely will, and one thing I usually do, Tim, is I'm gonna keep you in the dark for some of it in the beginning, because I don't really want you to think about it while you're swinging. I'm gonna tell you what I did after the fact, and we'll talk about why it felt the way it did. Just because if I handed you something that was, let's say, an inch over, you're probably gonna make some adjustments to try to make that club work, rather than just swinging your swing and seeing how it feels. Because that's the whole goal, right? I wanna fit this club to your swing. I don't want you to have to make any adjustments to make this club feel more comfortable to you. Oh. So we're gonna talk about every change that I made after I have you hit it. But if you have any questions or any feedback you have along the way, please let me know. Whether it's good or bad, it's something that's gonna help us get to where we need to a little quicker.
Do you want me to hit a couple
swings,
more?
I'm gonna have you hit about 5 shots of each, and we'll take a look at some of the good ones, okay? Let's see one more, and I have something I want to change before we go to the next one. I know you said you're at 1 degree upright right now with yours. I just wanted to see what standard length looked like. You are coming in slightly toe down. So we're gonna go 2 degrees upright. I'm not able to do 1 on our demos, but we're obviously able to order it that way if we need to. So I'm gonna see what 2 degrees looks like. Are you familiar with lie angle?
Actually not. I mean,
okay, so that, in my opinion, is the most important part of this fitting, is the lie angle of the club. So it's almost how it sounds. It's the angle in which the club is lying on the ground, mainly through impact, right? So this would be called toe up. So if you're coming in toe up through the ball itself, the first thing that wants to happen is your heel hits and the face wants to shut, right? There's friction between the ground and the heel, so it wants to shut the face. The opposite would be toe down, right? And that's essentially how yours is coming through right now, and not by much. Most people are either toe up or toe down. You're hardly ever gonna see somebody come in here and be neutral, but you're slightly toe down, about 1.5 degrees on that just one strike right there.
Okay.
So what that looks like, and I'm exaggerating it, it's not this bad, but I'm exaggerating it just so you see it, right? Coming in toe down. So the first thing that wants to happen, the face wants to open, right? And there's obviously, it's not gonna go right every single time, but you're working against something that's, you want your ball to go straight, that's something that's working against it, right? It's making it wanna go right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring that toe up just a little bit so you can become a little bit more flush with the ground. A couple things it does, it should take off some side spin, straighten out your ball flight a bit, help us hit the line that we wanna hit. Okay. If it works properly, it should raise ball speed a little bit just by a cleaner strike. So tell me how it feels as you go through here and try it, and we'll see if it feels any better.
So depending if it's upright or if it's flat, then is that one of the main factors that helps fix a miss right or left?
I would say it's The first thing I start with to make sure that we are taking out that variable, because I know you're coming in toe down and that's gonna be the same swing every time, so your tendency is gonna be coming in toe down. So if I can fix that right off the bat, I know that's the only variable I don't have to look at later. A couple more in, I just wanna see how it looks with this 150, and then we're gonna go into the 200. Feel any different?
A little bit, a little bit.
It may take a few swings for you to actually feel it. Like I said, every time you deliver the club, even professionals are gonna deliver it different every time, whether it's 0.1 degree or 1 degree different. Obviously with them, it's a little bit less drastic, so they deliver the club very well every time, but it's a good start. So we're gonna go into the 200, give you a feel for it. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna keep it 2 degrees upright, keep the shaft the same, just so you can get a feel for the head.
Thank you.
Try that. There you go, very nice. How'd that last one feel?
That one felt great.
That was better? Okay. If your face is sitting open like this, you're naturally lofting the club open more, right? So you're adding loft every time you open the face, and that's the trend that we're seeing right now with the last couple swings, is that the face has just been open, right? So as soon as you start squaring that up a bit more, your launch angle is going to go down a pretty good amount. So something to just be aware of, right? I'm not here to change your swing. You got a great swing. Just be aware of what the face is doing at impact, because it is lofted open a bit. So I think that's adding the most launch right now. But to answer your question, shaft has a lot to do with it as well. If I get the right shaft in your hands, it can bring down launch and spin. So it's just about finding the right combination of head and shaft, because that can really help. But it's not the only thing that can help bring it down or up. So let's give the 350s a chance here. Put them in the mix. But overall, like the 200s?
I like the 200s.
Awesome. Yeah, and that one, I mean, the 100 and the 150 are both fully forged, whereas the T200 is a fully forged face with a catback design, so it naturally should feel a bit hotter the way it's designed and come off a bit faster. Go left now.
I really was trying to make that one go left.
Well, let's see what the face was doing. Yeah, just squared it up. It was a degree closed. It had a square face, so it actually still got a bit more distance out of it, and your launch angle naturally just came down. Right now it's at 23.
Yeah.
How'd that one feel?
I like this one actually a lot. A little less feel, but I did miss one on the toe, and I felt like I felt that enough to know that it was a miss.
Okay.
But
so good feedback.
Yeah, it definitely felt a little more hot off the face on this one.
Okay. We'll focus more so on the 150s and the 200s right now, and still feel out which one performs the best, because on paper those two are performing the best for you right now.
The 350s, they're the strongest lofted out of the bunch?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. But naturally, they should be the highest launching of the bunch too, because of the way the weight's distributed. It should get that ball in the air a lot easier. When it comes to fitting, it's really about finding the combination that optimizes distance but doesn't sacrifice anything. So like, if we're losing a lot of yardage with, let's say, a bladed club, that's usually we're going to something a bit stronger, because that person may not be de-lofting the club enough to get more out of it. Is something we have to try, is going to something a little stronger lofted. With you have plenty of height. We need something that's gonna get it down just a bit. So I think something like that T200 or even a 150 would be a good move for you. So we're gonna play around with both, but
okay.
I think I'm gonna make some shaft changes right now and really focus on lie angle here too, because we're still coming in a little toe down, and I wanna try to focus on that. We're gonna put this on the 200 now, just to see which one you seem to hit better. You can see the good strikes side by side. They're both very good, right? We're looking at 138, almost 140 carry on the T200, and then your good strike being more of a 134 carry. But missed strikes is where I saw the difference, right? Your missed strikes were falling in the same window that your good strikes were. And the only reason we haven't hit the 100s yet, it's not that I don't think you can hit them at all, it's just because you already launched the ball very high, and these are just weaker and lost. So the ball is naturally just gonna go even higher. Or else I would have went to these right away if you were coming in too low. So I'm gonna focus more so on the 200s, assuming that you're liking the feel of those. Because it seems like you're hitting them just a bit more consistent, your ball speeds up, and the launch and spin rates look great. I'm gonna go in another direction here. I'm just gonna go with something a little lighter, but still a stiff shaft. So the lighter I make the club, typically maybe the faster you can swing it. So if it's something like, if we're going with a stiff flex, I don't wanna go too heavy because then you're not gonna be able to swing it fast enough to where that club's actually flexing at the right time. So it's about just finding the right balance. Weight point is really important. Everybody's, you know, whether you think so or not, everybody's very sensitive to weight. You may not know it, but there's a weight point out there that you just happen to hit better, and that's why you have to come in and see it for yourself and try out different weights, different flexes, because there's a lot more shafts out there than what you find on the rack, and there's something usually better out there for somebody. So let's try that one. We're still in the AMT family here. I think we're heading in the right direction in terms of how heavy that club needs to be. The flex, I think stiff's gonna be more comfortable for you. At least you're used to it too. But the weight point is really important here. That was the best strike of the day. So if we're looking at efficiency, right, something we talked about earlier, it's coming off the club faster, right? It's becoming more efficient in your hands. Club speed did come up a little bit, which I like that, right? It's not, you're not having to work any harder for it, but you're naturally just swinging that club faster. Your ball speed's coming up. Now we're at 108 on average. Launch angle still a little high, but as long as your spin's relatively in the right spot, your descent angle, I don't want to see it go much higher than that, to be honest with you. 50 to 52 max is where I want you, but these ones right here just had no side spin on them. Those are the best ones that you struck, and they went 158 and 148.
Maybe I should miss more.
Yeah, miss more left. You got to pull more. Looks really good though, Tim. All right, it's coming off hotter. 5 miles per hour is a pretty considerable jump.
Yeah. From
club to club, right? I'm giving you the same head every time, it's just the shaft, so you're just hitting it cleaner. So I think that just squaring up the face a little bit will help you, but when it comes to clean strike and consistency, that Modus 105 won every time. So I think we're done here, Tim. Do you have any last questions for me?
You've taught me a ton.
Awesome.
I feel like I understand it a lot more, but I guess just going back to how can I message to my friends that this is really for them, even though that might be a super high handicaps or just shy of the whole process? How can I get them more comfortable with just going into a store and get fitted?
Yeah, and that's honestly the thing we're trying to tell everybody is how comfortable it is to come in here and perfect your game, right? It shouldn't be stressful. It should be I try to make it fun. I hope I made it fun for you today.
Absolutely.
It should be something that you get excited to go do, you know, get these clubs to fit you better so that you can go out there and really improve your game, start shaving off some strokes, and, you know, ultimately just put it on the green quicker. So I'm glad you came in. I'm glad that we got to where we did today, because it obviously took us a few swings and a few different setups for me to give you, but you see the results, right? You see where it ultimately ended up, whether it was rough in the beginning or not. We ended up to where we needed to be.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So I can't wait to see you play these.
Absolutely.
Thanks for coming in.
Hey, thank you, John.